Beth, I wanted to ask you about what's happening in terms of product development for local cable operators, cable networks. You guys are one of the biggest. A lot of acceleration around change, not, certainly pre-COVID and certainly a lot going on now. But what's exciting in terms of opening up the pipes, if you will, to other platforms, devices, and advertisers?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think holistically, we're in a tremendous period of change as an industry, and cable operators are certainly no exception to that. So, let's say in the past decade, we've seen probably more innovation and change in cable than we have in any previous time period. And it's even more true in the last, let's say, 3 to 5 years. What's most changed in the ecosystem is the inclusion of ad technology and the things that using ad technology enable for us. So while we were really focused on the capabilities that exist within the set-top box within a very limited environment, you're seeing the conversion of our boxes to IP-enabled boxes. You're seeing the cable ecosystem expand to include over-the-top offerings, which are quite different than what we've offered in the past. And with that, the enhanced capabilities to enable advertising with really smart one-to-one targeting. So if I were to talk about what's changed most meaningfully, it's this advertising medium that was previously very focused on broad reach, and now is able to not just achieve broad reach, which is still important to advertisers, but incredibly targeted one-to-one relationship-based ads.
So how has the advertising changed? The buyers have changed, where it was, I guess, traditionally the local car dealer or the fast food, the pizza delivery shop. It's changed. So tell us how technology has changed the buying scenario, and particularly from the programmatic standpoint, and how you're working with the demand side now.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the ad ecosystem, particularly for local advertisers, has changed dramatically. I think as a cable operator and someone who may be described as traditional media, the digital ecosystem has introduced both disruption and opportunity for us. So whereas small to medium-sized businesses, even as soon as like the early 2010, 2011 timeframe, were largely focused on allowing the media decisions to be made either through smaller agencies or directly through the operator. Now local advertisers, quite frankly, are savvier. They understand that they have advertising solutions that don't require a media reps, walking them through the solution. And as such, they're aware of the ways that they can reach their customers beyond just a traditional medium. So what they're generally doing is now letting us know, hey, we're very clear on the fact that we can have very affordable, hyper-targeted audience ways to reach our audiences. And what we'd like to do is partner with media companies that can do that for us and with us, and do it in a very efficient and effective manner.
So how do you work with DSPs, and what do you expect from the DSPs?
Yeah, so the DSP relationship for Cox in particular is very important. The reason for that is we serve local advertisers. That's a key part of our business model, and we're not able to provide a full solution without the inclusion of DSPs in our overall media mix. So because we're Cox, we have access to really powerful television content, both delivered in traditional ways and over the top. What we use DSPs for is to extend our offerings into places where we don't have access to inventory today, and or targeting capabilities that are difficult to reach at scale without the inclusion of that partnership.
And Beth, Cox is part of on addressability, the big industry initiative. It's something that we've been talking about for years. How do you define addressability now? And of course, it had been just a few years ago really about the set-top box, and it seems to be much broader than that. How do you define addressability, and what is Cox's role in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so Cox is partnering with Comcast and Charter on an initiative called On Addressability. It's a broad-based, industry-wide initiative in which we're partnering with the programmers and quite frankly, the community to really target, to really identify and standardize the way we view the addressable landscape. So what that means is the experience, regardless of who you're buying from, should be consistent. And things like audience segments should be standardized in a way that allows, let's say, a media buyer to have a really, frictionless, easy to understand experience, regardless of the operator, and for the deliverable to be consistent across each of the individual MVPDs.
How is that progressing? What is the reality of it in terms of its implementation and being a viable option for advertising, addressable advertising?
Yeah, it's a great question. So addressable advertising right now at scale is here, believe it or not, which is really exciting. For right now in the space directly related to the On Addressability initiative, we're actively working to onboard several programmers for some early stage activity, both in the linear space and in the VOD or video on demand space. We'll be lighting up our first few advertisers in a matter of weeks, programmers in a matter of weeks, which is incredibly exciting. We're right at the start line. We're lined up, got our toes there. And we expect to see it at scale next year across multiple programmers, across all three operators plus. And really it will be a brand new viable business, particularly in the programmer space. Of course, the benefits also extend to advertisers, both through the work that they can do within the programming space and working directly with the operators for ad buys.
And one final question: if you had some advice to the demand side, to DSPs, what would you like to see in a DSP? What are the important things on your checklist?
Yeah, so for our business, what's really most compelling for DSPs and how they can differentiate themselves is around being able to truly solve the needs of local advertisers. I think historically, most DSPs, probably for the right reasons, have been focused on meeting the needs of large agencies and large brands. However, the SMBs have been largely left by the wayside with those DSPs. I think what we're most interested in is how do we make those solutions localized? I think it's particularly important in this point in time as we're emerging post-COVID, and we have many small businesses that are actually really struggling to survive, and solutions that allow them to reach their customers in incredibly efficient, effective manners is critical. So they should be easy to use. They should be able to access the right inventory. They should be able to address fraud, right? They should be able to layer on meaningful data sets that create greater targeting and capabilities around them, and they should be incredibly focused on being diligent around what we enable in a privacy safe environment.